Hello, welcome back to Marathon Man, where I'm going through Doctor Who from the very beginning, and you join me just as we've said goodbye to the second Doctor. So, as with the first, it's time to take a brief look at some of his appearances outside of the TV show. Yeah, this is a marathon through the TV show from 1963 to the present day. But Doctor Who is so expansive now that there are countless other stories in other media. And yes, while the marathon isn't going to be including all of those, I do think it's a little bit of a disservice to each of the Doctors to ignore their adventures in expanded media completely. Audio dramas, comic strips, novels and short stories all flesh out the second Doctor's era with what every Doctor Who fan wants. More Doctor Who. Now, there's been so much that even as a lifelong fan, there is no way that I have consumed them all. So there's absolutely no way with any authority I'm going to claim that this video is in any way whatsoever comprehensive. This will just be a brief look at what some of his adventures in expanded media look like, and pausing along the way to discuss which ones I actually like myself. As with Hartnell's companions, the spin-off media provides more adventures with the second Doctor's friends from the TV show, as well as providing him with some new ones, although admittedly far fewer than Hartnell and mostly just one-off companions. A notable one is Lady Serena, a Time Lord who accompanies him in the novel World Game. Plus, the Doctor's other grandchildren, John and Gillian, return to travel with the second Doctor in the TV comics of the 1960s. But, as I said in my video about the first Doctor in expanded media, I've never felt the inclination to check out these comic stories, and I think it's because John and Gillian travelling with both Doctors kind of creates a hurdle I don't particularly feel compelled to overcome. I'm quite happy consigning them to a different continuity, a parallel universe, an alternate dimension. But if I'm stubbornly stopping myself from experiencing some of the best Doctor Who ever told, then do feel free to let me know in the comments below. Just be a little bit more respectful than the Doctor himself is in these comics. Now, that has become quite an infamous panel for Doctor Who. So unlike the character that it has to be from a parallel universe, right? Well, I'd just like to talk about it briefly, okay? One, I've seen some people say that it could be John saying that and the Doctor is only firing.
Well, that's all right then.
Because the speech bubble could be from either of them, but I'm more inclined to point the finger at Troughton's era on TV, season 5 in particular. See, the Troughton Doctor in season 4, as soon as he bests the chameleons, he launches into trying to find a peaceful solution between everybody. And season 5 kind of adopts the attitude of, like, it's the monster of the week season, and so the monsters are literally just that, monsters. The Ice Warriors would undergo a slight reframing as the show went on, but even in their reappearance in season 6, he blasts them into a sun. And with the monsters being depicted as hulking brutes to be vanquished, is it really so hard to imagine a comics writer looking at that and thinking that the Doctor wouldn't blast a gun and yell, "Die, hideous creature, die"? Whatever the reason, and whatever your thoughts on it, this is definitely the second Doctor in full-on defeat of the monsters mode alongside his two grandchildren. We're definitely not in the TV show anymore. Although after the Doctor dropped John and Gillian off, Jamie joins the TV comics, and so it begins to resemble the show we know and love a little bit more. The TV comics continued with the second Doctor even after the War Games went out, depicting his exile on Earth but not an immediate regeneration. Now this of course gives birth to what we all know as Season 6B, which has proven to be a more fertile ground for storytelling as time has gone on. This period of the Doctor's life is now suitably fleshed out, but the TV comics seem to play ball pretty respectfully, to be honest, with the gap between the War Games and Spearhead from Space being the longest gap between episodes since Doctor Who began. The continued publication of the comics meant they had to think of something. So, in this version of events, the Doctor is forced to regenerate by scarecrows, animated by the Time Lords. Cue the third Doctor falling out of the TARDIS. But this narrative gap has been plugged by other expanded media too. Now, with the TV comics being largely ignored by fandom the further away time got from them, Season 6B ended up just becoming like a fan theory to explain away Troughton's older appearance in his subsequent returns to the show, where the character seemed to have knowledge that he didn't have before and shouldn't have now. In the novel's Players and World Game, Terrance Dicks kind of legitimises the Season 6B theory. And World Game was published after Doctor Who had come back to TV, which demonstrates how long this nebulous Season 6B was kind of floating around as an idea before being, in inverted commas, confirmed. But Season 6B is not exclusively where Second Doctor stories are set in the expanded universe. Many take place between TV stories. As with the First Doctor, the Second Doctor led several novels in the Virgin Missing Adventures range and the BBC Past Doctors range, various short stories in the Short Trips, Decalogue and Tell Us Novella ranges, as well as popping up in cameos in other Doctors' prose stories. All of the Doctors are tied so very closely to the actor playing them. Richard Herndl, being cast as the First Doctor in the Five Doctors, has kind of set a precedent when it comes to recasting the First Doctor that makes, I think, the First Doctor being recast a little bit more usual, if not accepted, than the other Doctors. It's just that I feel the Second Doctor of all of them might be the trickiest to recast. Indeed, the trickiest to get right in any medium without Patrick Troughton bringing him to life. When I read the Second Doctor in prose, writers have got a real challenge in bringing that character to life on the page without Troughton's voice sort of possessing them. Nevertheless, the Second Doctor has been recast, and Big Finish have provided audio dramas for the Second Doctor in no less than 3 separate ranges. First of all, there's the Companion Chronicles and Early Adventures ranges. With Fraser Hines assuming the role of Troughton's Doctor, he also crops up cheekily in a couple of multi-Doctor stories, such as The Light at the End and Collision Course, which is the final part of the Legacy of Time box set, plus a crossover with Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor in a kind of Back to the Future style revisit of Tomb of the Cybermen. And before Big Finish committed to Season 6B as a viable concern, a story from the Early Adventures range went some way in explaining the inconsistencies which caused fans to theorise about Season 6B in the first place. The excellent The Black Hole features the meddling monk wreaking havoc with time, as is his wont. But I don't know about you, I feel like Season 6B is an excellent explanation, and it kind of provides like a really fertile playground for you to do an open-ended gap which you could do whatever you can imagine with the Second Doctor. And The War Games is a fantastic finale, don't get me wrong. It's just that because the TV show automatically takes precedence, at least it does for me, I don't think it could ever truly be undermined, no matter how many stories you tell about the Second Doctor set in Season 6B. They exist as bonus extras, if you like, and Big Finish's current full cast run of Second Doctor stories, with Patrick Troughton's son Michael in the role, is explicitly between the Doctor's sentencing and regeneration. I have struggled to fully love the stories here, but Michael Troughton brings the Second Doctor to life in a way I didn't think would be possible without his dad. So personal highlights for the Second Doctor in expanded media for me are as follows. I actually think World Game is an entertaining read. Having Terrance Dicks, one of the writers of the War Games himself, follow on and begin a fertile Season 6B feels appropriate. But I think best of all the Second Doctor's appearances outside of the TV show are actually in audio. Firstly, The Black Hole is really very, very good. And while I haven't connected with his actual range yet, Michael Troughton's Second Doctor is still a lot of fun. He appears in a Third Doctor story called The Annihilators, which, while that's not in the Second Doctor's range, I would paradoxically cite it as one of the Second Doctor's best outings in expanded media. And yes, the slimmer number of Second Doctor expanded media stories in this video than there were in the First Doctor one does kind of imply that, yeah, maybe I need Patrick Troughton around to bring the Second Doctor to life. But the fact that almost 58 years after he first appeared, 55 years after his run on TV came to an end, and 37 years after the man himself passed away, the fact that there's currently a new season of Second Doctor stories being released is, I'm sorry, really cool. As ever, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this cursory glance at the adventures of Doctor Number 2 outside the confines of the parent show, then you know how YouTube works. Please do give it a like and share it around. And what are your favourites of the Second Doctor's untelevised stories? Have I missed some glaringly obvious ones, or have I mentioned some that simply just don't deserve it? And do you think that Season 6B is a fantastic idea for more Second Doctor, or do you think it cheapens the War Games? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you back here soon for a ranking of all 21 of the Second Doctor's TV stories, not counting Multi-Doctor Returns. So if you don't want to miss that, hit the subscribe button, clang the cloister bell, and I will see you back here very soon.